Did you know that over 1 million Americans are dying annually of just heart disease and cancer alone? Do our doctors know the cause? Join us for the next 30 minutes of eye-opening science.
Hey everyone, Larry North here, your fitness guy. You know what? I can help you get these. But when it comes to getting healthier and more importantly, happier, there's no better person than Doug Kaufman on Know the Cause.
And welcome aboard, friends. Thank you for joining us today. Larry North, as I live and breathe. I've known that guy, 30 years, and he just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Today, Kyle is going to join us. Okay, that's your cue.
Okay, that's when I come in.
Kyle is going to join us because Kyle and I think eye to eye. You had so many questions. John, our producer, said there are, 30,000 questions that have come in. How are we going to answer all those in half an hour?
I don't have any idea. We'll do our best, but a lot of these are the more popular segments because we finally get to delve into things that you are asking about, so we should have a good time.
Susie is going to be here talking about green tea, also right smack in the middle of today's show. But the opening question, Kyle, brain cancer, is that a fungus? The whole medical community may disagree with what I say today. I won't let Kyle say it, so I'll say it. All that and a whole lot more on today's Know the Cause. Well, I lied just a little bit in the opening of the show. I said the first question was going to be on brain cancer. The first question, actually by Lucia, I think it prompts the second question.
Okay.
The brain cancer question. Here we have it. She asks, treatment for mold poisoning. Okay, Kyle, how does mold get in the body? We've talked about it. Inhalation, break in the skin, antibiotics, etc. And so once it's in the body, how does it manifest? Mold often grows in a cyst, in an ascomycete, right? And this is where I want to go with the real opening of today's show. Many of you, as a matter of fact, thousands of you have seen on our website one man's hypothesis on what cancer is. Just humble little old me taking a few decades and figuring out the pieces of the puzzle. And according to some friends of mine who have big degrees, I think we may have taken a major step in understanding cancer. So the treatments for mold poisoning would be anti-molds, right? Diflucan, Sporanox, Lamisil, ketoconazole, all these drugs we talk about on this show.
Yep, and I think that once you begin to recognize how easy it is for this to overgrow, and recognizing the mycotoxin link in the food supply that we're typically eating in the standard American diet, once we make that change, all of the other things that we're doing with the antifungals makes it so much more effective.
Kyle, so you must starve it.
Yep.
Because it's a living parasite and you must kill it, okay? So let's go to the second question. This is Sherry. What about brain cancer? Is it a fungus? Now, I got to tell you folks, if you're in the medical field right now, a nurse, a lab tech, an occupational therapist, a physician, you're falling out of your chair. Please, Lord, tell me he'll say no. Brain cancer has nothing to do with fungus. Then what does cause brain cancer? We don't know. But don't tell me it's a fungus. Go back, Doug 101, and study one man's hypotheses. Mold grows, fungus grows in a cyst. And it's hard to discern between the cyst and a cancer tumor. They behave so much like one another.
Well, there's a researcher, a PhD named Dr. Thomas Seyfried, who's making a lot of news right now, and we're hoping to possibly get him on the show, but he's written a book and it's over $100. It's really very academic, but here's what, he is only studying brain cancer. He's a cancer researcher, but brain in particular. And one of the things that he's doing is putting people on a ketogenic diet. A ketogenic diet is a diet that's made up of mostly fat and protein, no carbohydrates, including things like vegetables or fruits of any kind. And what he is finding is incredible results. And I'm not going to get him in trouble by using any word that I shouldn't, but incredible results using just the ketogenic diet. One of the things that he talks about is he doesn't even think in terms of prevention. He's not there yet. okay? He thinks only in terms of this diet being therapeutic. Now, what that means to you is, and how this relates to fungus, is that the Doug Kaufman Phase 1 diet, the antifungal Kaufman diet, the thing about it is that you can do a ketogenic variation of it. You're just amping up your really good proteins and your really good fats. And really let it, and Dr. Seyfried recommends people do this for a period of time, just like the researchers did in epileptic kids who were doing the ketogenic diet. I take pains to say this because this guy is a mainstream conventional medicine researcher who is pointing to the same kind of diet for brain cancer that antifungal experts point to, like Kaufman, that say this is the way to starve the mitigating factor.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Again, he's talking about treating it. We're talking about, with a diet like this, perhaps preventing it.
I agree.
And the ketogenic diet, circa 1954,
Yeah,
53,
right.
back at Johns Hopkins, where they were taking children with epilepsy, putting them on this diet. No wheat, no corn, no grain, no sugar, and they were improving. So that's really exciting. Steve asks, Steve states, great info on healthy living. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. I think we try our best. This is just two guys' opinion. And mainstream medicine would probably not agree with much of what we're saying, but you, the viewing audience, are following this diet and taking the supplements we talk about, from Prevagen to olive leaf extract, to Flexin when you're in pain. Thank you for doing that, and you're learning a lot as we learn a lot. Diane asks, upgraded coffee, that's Dave. Huh?
That's Dave Asprey, yeah.
Versus organic coffee. Does coffee have fungus? You bet, anything that grows in the soil, beans have fungus on them.
Dave Asprey sent me a bunch of studies showing how much fungal overgrowth normal coffee has, but in many cases, organic coffee is even higher. It's because some of the things that are keeping fungus at bay in conventional coffee bean growing is the artificial things that are keeping it at bay. So yes, upgraded coffee, I like it. 0 mycotoxins or very, very low. That's the way I would go.
Let's cheat before we go to a break. Is Lyme disease mistaken for fungus? What a great exclamation point to leave you. Go to this break, and when we get back, we'll delve into Lyme disease.
So snacks are an imperative part of a healthy way of eating, especially the Phase 1 diet. It helps to keep your blood sugar stable, and it also just helps you from feeling deprived. My 4 favorite healthy, quick, and easy snacks is number 1, nuts and apples. You can do almond butter and slice up those apples. You can do just raw nuts, and I always stick them in my purse, and I always have a healthy snack that's quick and easy to go. Avocado and salsa. I love mashing up an avocado with some salsa that's made with apple cider vinegar, and then I take veggies and I use it as a dip. It's really delicious. And then smoothies. Smoothies, you can just do anything. Berries, your coconut milk, your greens, maybe some almond butter, quick and easy. And then deli meat. A healthy deli meat with hummus or an avocado is perfect lunch or snack.
The other day I got back from the airport, taking the kids to the airport, and I flipped on TV. It's 3:30 in the afternoon, and I flipped on Fox News, and I was watching Fox News, and there's these 2 doctors on Fox News, these experts that they're interviewing, and they did 2 segments with them. One was, what are we hearing today? Everybody that walks or inhales needs to be on statin drugs. It's the new savior of America, statin drugs. And of course, both these physicians were underwriting that theory, right? Yes, by gosh, people with diabetes and people over 40 and people who have 2 ears, everybody needs to be on these statin drugs. The next segment kind of blew me away. They went to an ad and then came back on, and they were talking about supplements. Supplements are not proven to help people with cancer or prevent disease or anything. Folks, it was just, look, I don't care if it's MSNBC, I don't care if it's Fox News, if you're underwritten, if your income comes from drug money. You've watched both of those networks. They both have drug ads on all the time. That's how you pay these important people to be the news anchors, by giving them money. They get the money from drug companies. So whether you're conservative or liberal, it makes no difference. So now that we're seeing all of this information about everybody's going to be on statins, here comes a headline. Cholesterol medicine affects energy production in the muscles. Get this. Up to 75% of people who take statins to treat elevated cholesterol may suffer from muscle pain. I'll never forget my own brother-in-law was on statin drugs. He was playing tennis one day and he thought somebody threw a rock over the fence and hit him in his gastrocnemius muscle. It hurt that bad. He had to limp off. He was looking for the person who would have thrown that rock. Of course, no person was there. It was the statin drugs breaking down his muscles. I can't tell you not to take statin drugs. I won't, but I can't tell you to. But I can tell you this is information for your general use, and it is just my take. You know, everybody's heard of lettuce wraps, right? It's what you put in the lettuce wrap that makes it a phase 1 or a phase 10 meal. What Danny's going to cook today is absolutely phase 1 friendly lettuce wraps.
That's right. So what we have here is some almond butter. It's actually fresh almond butter, and we added a little bit of hot water just to thin it up, you know, just however.
Almond butter? You think of a
well,
lettuce wrap.
they use peanut butter in the lettuce wraps that you get in Chinese restaurants, and we can't do peanuts, so I thought it was worth a shot with the it's so good. You're gonna love
It
this.
is. You've had this.
I also just so you know, I sweetened it just a tiny little bit with some stevia.
Okay.
To get it started. This is coconut aminos rather than soy
coconut
sauce.
aminos, 17 amino acids. They're made from raw coconut tree sap is how they make that. Isn't that interesting?
I didn't know that.
Yes, indeed.
I
and
just know that
sun-dried
it's
sea
a
salt.
great substitute for soy sauce. Lime juice, fresh lime juice, half a lime. We've got our homemade sriracha type hot sauce.
That is so
And
good.
you don't have to use this. I mean, this is very, you know, personal. If you don't want hot sauce, don't use it. If you prefer not to put the coconut aminos in or don't have them, you can skip those too. This is really key. It really gives it that good Asian flavor. It's toasted sesame oil. So
An
that's
antioxidant, yeah.
really good.
It's interesting. That's been used as a healing oil for over 1,000 years, sesame oil.
tiny bit of garlic, a little bit of ginger. Again, you don't like garlic,
Love
leave
that.
it out. Don't
Love
like
that.
ginger, that's fine too. Okay, we're just going to take this and put just enough.
Mix it in with the chicken.
Yeah, just enough to get it well coated.
Oh boy, I smell lunch.
Okay, hand me one of those lettuce wraps, Doug. Please.
Do I feel like a big one? Yeah.
Take a big one. Okay. So we're just going to pile some of this in here.
that
We have a
interesting?
few little toppings over here, and again, you know,
Yep.
it's whatever,
Just like you'd
it's
get
whatever
in a
you
restaurant,
like.
an Asian restaurant.
A little chopped scallion, a
You should
little
smell this.
cilantro,
I wish everybody at home could smell this.
a little chopped cashews, and we're done.
That's it.
That's it. Roll it up. Give it a shot.
It looks
Go
good.
for it.
Smells good. Not peanut butter.
Not
Almond
peanut
butter.
But do you taste all the Asian flavors? It's so good.
You must try this. If you haven't tried this, you saw how quickly it came together. You have to try this. This is delicious. And it's called lettuce wrap. Phase 1 lettuce wrap. Thank you, Denny. Good work.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Susie Cohen, America's Pharmacist. We don't normally think of green or black tea as an antibiotic, but the catechins in tea kill all sorts of germs in the body, including Mycoplasma pneumonia. That's the bad bug that causes walking pneumonia. So all the while you're sipping that delicious warm cup of tea, know that special compounds are doing some impressive work inside your cells to crank up your immune system and fight infection. One compound that I can think of is called epigallocatechin gallate. That can help with serious conditions like encephalomyelitis. Because it protects your memory, it can also help reduce your risk of Alzheimer's disease. Other compounds present in tea help arthritis by protecting your cartilage from damage. Tea gives you such incredible benefits head to toe, so I'll drink to that.
Okay, now the question comes up. What about Lyme disease? People watching this show have got to be saying, okay, wait a minute, brain cancer, now Lyme disease. This show kind of expounds on mycotoxins and their ability, these are fungal metabolites, and their ability to mimic other diseases. In the absence of a bullseye on your skin where the deer tick bit you, I often think what they're doing, Kyle, is putting these patients on a lot of antibiotics.
Well, and it's very popular right now to do something called pulsing, which is low-dose antibiotics over a long period of time. And what we're seeing after people have done this for a while, again, it's like everything else, Doug. Initially, the symptoms go down, but then they come back with a vengeance. We see this with gluten-free, and then the symptoms come back, but we see it with this pulsing technique a lot with Lyme's. Now, I don't care whether you believe that Lyme's is related to fungus or not. What we do know is that they, at the very least, run in pairs. And what we also know is that many physicians like
Lee Cowden.
Lee Cowden, thank you. I'm sorry, Lee. Dr. Cowden. Dr. Cowden is giving some very interesting protocols from a company called Nutramedix, an herbal company, and at the end of the day, they are antifungal. They are patently, I mean, things like cat's claw and pau d'arco.
And he's helping his Lyme's patients get better.
That's the point.
So one must argue, look, if you haven't responded favorably to the antibiotics or anything else the doctor is doing for you, FUPO, fungus until proven otherwise. Why wouldn't you try a diet? Why wouldn't you try some herbs, antifungal herbs, and see if it helps? Then report back to your doctor that you're doing much better. Is there a supplement, Kyle, for cell wall, Candida cell wall suppressor?
Okay, so what that question means, thank you, Judy, for the question. This has become a very popular thing on the internet. It is an advertisement saying, have you got Candida? Well, there's something called a Candida cell wall suppressor. Basically, the cell wall of a fungus is made up kind of like a flea or a tick or an insect, something made of chitin. And what they're advertising is a product that basically demolishes the chitinous shell of fungus and thus destroys the fungus. It's a cool idea. And there's some kind of interesting products. Most of them are built around a product, and I had to remember it. It's called lufeneron. Lufeneron is actually a drug that is used in animals. It hasn't been studied in humans at all. And yet they're able to get some of this from another country and make dilute forms of it and sell it for human beings now. And they think that, well, because it worked in other mammals, it's automatically going to work in humans, and so therefore we don't have to test it. It's going to be perfectly safe. I'm an experimenter. When it comes to something like an herb, when it comes to something like a food, I'm willing to experiment. When it comes to something like a veterinarian drug, I'm not an experimenter when it comes to that. So be careful with the Candida cell wall suppressors. I'm not giving a thumbs down for all of them, but as for me and my household, I will not try these until I've seen that they've been tested safely in human beings.
And you know, we have to go back a little bit, folks, and think, is it the fungus, the yeast itself, or is it the deposits that fungus or yeast has already made? They're called mycotoxins. You can kill a jillion of them, but if they deposited a billion mycotoxins, taking more antifungals or taking more anti-cell wall, Candida cell wall supplements isn't going to help. The damage is done. The mycotoxins have been deposited. Okay? Victoria asks, what nutrients could I take for a stroke? Is a stroke fungal? Wow. It's interesting. Everybody's turning to know the cause, and here's why. They've turned all the king's horses and all the king's men and all the doctors, and somebody probably had a stroke or a relative had a stroke, and they're just not seeing any enlightenment. you know, it's just not getting better. Is there a fungal component to this? So you throw an embolism, it clots your blood, no oxygen to the brain, and all of a sudden you have paralysis. Kyle, what's your take on the fungus link in some of these cardiac or clot diseases?
Yeah, I think that anytime you're looking at these clot diseases, you're looking at something, whether it's calcification of the breast or whether it's any of these things where there's a clot factor. So much of what the body does is accumulate certain things in response to fungus and in response to mycotoxins. I like the idea of first thinking, FUPO, that, hey, maybe it's related to a stroke. But the biggest problem is, what do you do if you've actually had one? You do what your doctor tells you to do. You don't follow the advice of some guy in a red sweater on television. But if it were me or my mom, I would look at grape seed extract. This is Seagate's grape seed extract. I would look at garlic and olive leaf extract, various things that are both antifungal but also have a blood thinning quality. If you're on blood thinners, do not take this. Most of you who have had a stroke are taking a prescription blood thinner, so please don't take any of this without your doctor's permission first.
Now, when we get back from this short break, the question arises, 2 words, dorm food. Any of you go to college? Dorm food. And Kyle has the perfect answer for this, so don't go away. We'll be right back with more.
By just simply looking at how our bodies respond to trauma, our bodies heal themselves. And if our bodies are not healing themselves and if they're getting worse, that's an indication that something's wrong, something's off, and we need to get to the root cause of it.
I was helping my eldest daughter with her biology homework recently. Her assignment was on the rapidly escalating problem of antibiotic resistance and the growing realization we need to start reusing more natural antimicrobials. We talked a lot about recent scientific papers showing that Candida frequently covers itself in a protective biofilm, like the egg white protecting the yolk. All antimicrobial campaigns now should involve natural ways to decrease biofilms. Garlic, pomegranate, colloidal silver, bovine colostrum, and systemic enzymes are all good alternatives. I'm Dr. Greg Emerson for Know the Cause.
Thank you so much for all these questions. You can't imagine when we go through these, there's never, like John said, there's never a poor question. There's a lot of questions coming in, and these are all so good, so we'll get right back to them. We do this in a segment called Eye to Eye. Kyle and I think eye to eye. We think a lot of things are due to fungus. Your doctor doesn't, okay? Currently, they don't know this. Many doctors are, coming up with things like this, but currently everything gets an antibiotic. And antibiotics feed yeast. So Alukika asks, alternatives to college dorm food. When Kyle went over this with me, I just rolled on the ground laughing.
Alukika, why do you want an alternative to dorm food?
How good was that?
This is like the best food ever. It's the one time in your life when you don't have to suffer from everything that you're putting into your body. You're just immune to everything.
Mom
when you're in
doesn't see
college.
it. Dad doesn't see it. No.
You put on a few pounds, big deal. You've got bean dip with Vienna sausages in some kind of noodle sauce. It's great. I'd laugh at this because I do wish that I could eat the way I did in college and have none of the effects that I had in college. Of course, it was then when I started, the wheels began falling off. The point is, have a little fun. But with college dorm food, you know what? It's the same question. Once you graduate from college, you'll say, okay, what do I do as an alternative to lunchroom food at the office? Or, this is the eternal question. And basically, you just kind of have to start at the beginning, and you can do things inexpensively. You go to even Walmart. I know that not all college students have the funds to go organic with everything. If you can, by all means do, but you start to just buy the produce, and you start juicing, and you start to get some good grass-fed beef and buffalo meat and things like that, which they have at Walmart, by the way. And you can do this fairly inexpensively, but don't always give up the Vienna sausage.
I have an entrepreneurial idea for Alukika,
Okay.
and that is the book, The Invincible Diet. you're 20 years old. You're invincible. You can eat anything you want. A lot
Step
of these
one,
kids,
be 20.
a lot of these kids, because we've been on the air for, what, 13 years. So a lot of these kids' parents are saying, be careful with your diet when you go away. In those cases, I love the idea of getting a hamburger. They have them at, what's the popular hamburger joint where they roll it? In-N-Out burger. Where they call it a protein burger. They roll it up in lettuce and give it to you that way without the bun. Yeah, you'll be laughed at by all your family and friends at the college, but that's the way to eat. Okay, enough said on college dorm. I love this one. Dawn says, how do I get diflucan and nystatin? So you go to medical school, and after you graduate from medical school, you write 2 prescriptions only, and only for you. Diflucan and nystatin. I happen to believe these drugs are close to a panacea when people are sick. This is how I really got planted. I came from California at the request of a doctor out of Johns Hopkins to Dallas, Texas. Part of the deal was, look, we'll use antifungals because these people have psoriasis, have brain problems, have skin problems, have gut problems, and I can't help them, Doug. I'm sending them to practitioners, specialists who can't help them either. Can you help them? Diflucan and nystatin can help many of these people, and a changed diet, and that's really what you found out.
Yeah, in talking with a lot of people, I've talked to these certain pharmacists. They're called compounding pharmacists, and they have a beat on who's prescribing what in the community. Sometimes you can find these people. Sometimes it's a nurse practitioner or a PA that's very willing and open-minded to try things. But diet comes first. Forget the drugs until you get the diet down.
And I wonder how many of you, if you took olive leaf or oregano or some of these great supplements you learn about on Know the Cause and followed the diet very carefully for a month, if you would need diflucan and nystatin. Don't go away, a quiz right around the corner.
I would just like to thank Doug Kaufman for all he's done. I've watched him on his television show for many years, and I just want to say that the Fungus Link has helped me and my family tremendously. And I'll tell everybody that I know about how good it is and all the things in there that it can do. They really need to watch the show, and they really need to listen to everything that Doug says in there. He needs to get the book, The Fungus Link, read it first to fully get an understanding, and follow the diet in the back and the products that he's called out in there. Because everything that we have really is connected to fungus.
And finally today, from the guys who believe everything is fungus, we have a quiz. This one I got wrong also. Did you draw this? This is one of yours?
I did.
Researchers at U of U determined that female mice died earlier than usual and male mice reproduce far less than usual when fed a certain amount of sugar in their diet each day. How much sugar would a human have to consume for an equivalent response? So they probably gave them a few grains of sugar.
Right.
But in humans, how much is that? 3 cans of soda a day, 4, 6, or 8? And I said 8, Kyle.
Yep.
First of all, I can't fathom anyone drinking 8 cans of soda a day.
know.
And yet, many, if not most, Americans drink 3 a day. Yeah. So the female mice died earlier, and the males reproduce far less than usual, right? When they drank 3 cans, can you see those little tiny mice sodas?
I know.
Sipping down one of those. 3 cans, the equivalent of 3 cans of soda a day. That blows my mind. Folks, we are not living peak. We just aren't doing it. If you're drinking soda pop every day and a couple cans of it, the whole drink a glass of wine every day because the resveratrol, it's good for you. I don't buy that. I just don't buy that. Go back to a very simple diet, our phase 1 diet. Try it for a period of time. Thank you for coming on this morning.
I salute you with my mouse soda.
Here. And thank you folks for watching us every day. Thank you, Susie, for the information on green tea. We'll see you next time. God bless you. Bye-bye.